motion to excuse Cameron,
Put a motion to excuse Cameron.
second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the invocation, Miss,
Done.
Heavenly Father, as we come to you tonight, we want to thank you for the day that you've given. And we ask that you be with each other, whatever goes on, that it will be pleasing to you and beneficial for this town. All of us, we ask in your precious and living name.
has everybody read over the agenda for tonight? I didn't take mine. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
I motion to approve the agenda.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? You have your minutes from last month, has everybody read over them?
I'll make the motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any changes anybody wants to make? We're good. Agenda's approved, minutes approved. We have no new business other than we need to swear in Christopher, and I'd like to welcome our new member, Christopher Hoover. Thank you, sir. And,
You
she'll
wanna stand up
swear
right
you
there?
in.
Repeat after me.
I, Christopher Hoover,
I solemnly swear or
Do solemnly
affirm
swear or affirm
that I will support and maintain the Constitution of the United States
that I will support and maintain the Constitution of the United States
and laws of North Carolina,
and laws of North Carolina,
not inconsistent therewith,
not inconsistent therewith,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office
that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office
of planning board member
of planning board member
according to my best skill and ability, so help me God.
according to my best skills and abilities, so help me God. Thank you.
I'll have you sign it. Awesome, welcome.
Thank you.
All right, we have no new business at this time. We call for public comment. Doesn't seem to have no public. I guess the public's not interested in what we're doing here tonight or any other night because it's mighty slack. I don't know what we can do to improve the public's attendance unless we create an issue.
Let's don't do that. We've already had our share of
We
that.
had plenty of issues. All right, moving on to, we'll move on to old business. The policy for the use of the town hall. Now, Haley has critiqued us, it's a copy in your book. And did Carlton get a copy of
I believe
this?
he did it last, no, he wasn't here last month.
I wasn't here, for last month, but
I'll get you a
I
copy.
did receive,
Yeah, but she has critiqued and,
okay,
she'll make you a copy and
Okay,
you
yeah.
can look it over.
absolutely.
And, I was gonna present it to you if the board is in favor, if they've read over it. I read over it and it's a pretty good policy looking like, and, if you wanna review it
Okay,
and, and write it up for a presentation for the commissioners, that would be a welcome thing.
okay.
So in full disclosure, I found something and modified it
Yeah,
to kind of, help me understand maybe what we need to try to do. So this was for, I think, a church somewhere, so there may be some stuff that I did not remove that may need to be removed just for that kind of purpose, but it was at least a framework of things that we may wanna prohibit and
okay,
an easier way to allow it
okay.
type of thing.
Sounds good, yeah, I'll definitely support this.
Did you have anything to add to it?
I think the only thing maybe is like hours of operation, right? That's probably something that needs to be in here. Cameron actually sent me the one for West Carteret, Carter County, not Carter, but, Cape Carteret and Cedar Point don't have one, but that park in West Carteret,
Oh,
Western
yeah.
Park.
Western Park actually has one, and he said it to me, like, cause he couldn't make it, it's like, hey, make sure that's there, and they charge $35 an hour. So it might be something, and they've actually got a map of the building, saying, hey, which rooms do you wanna use? I did the same thing, I just used AI, it's like, hey, send me a draft and what it would look like, but it's a couple of them, did 7 hours of operations, and
Okay.
I think we were still in open discussion about the sheriff and how many people would be needed for the sheriff.
Yeah, and if we wanted to put that kind of
Yeah,
thing on there.
but I agree, it's good, it's a very good, start and beginning.
Yeah, it's a starting point, so.
Did you get that, Carlton? I had that on.
I got it.
All right, is there any more discussion on this policy? Well, Carlton, if you'll, critique this for us, we would be, and I guess we can continue this and present it next month. At next month's meeting, if that's okay. I feel like this is pretty much an administration issue. Because the commissioners and all have to set the fees and fines or whatever. So we'll continue with that. Planning board comments, anyone have comments that they would like to address?
I do not.
Chris? Sir. Haley, do you have any comments? I'd like to make a comment and thank you for the work you've done on this.
You're welcome.
I don't have any comments.
I guess we'll ask for a motion to adjourn, if that's all the business we have.
Just a moment. I can give a few comments for, under the planning section.
Yeah.
Hey, Carlton Gideon, I'm the town planner. And, I'm sorry I couldn't make last month's meeting, but I'm back and, I just had a couple things to mention. It's-
Do we wanna finish up on our training?
Yeah, I can do that too,
Okay.
right now. DEQ provided us certification for the Campbell Land Use Plan, so we have it, we actually, they have the document right here, they gave their final decision, they signed it, I believe, June the 10th. So, it's official, they certified it, it's done. I completed a course with Chapel, the UNC Chapel Hill School Government and Planning Development Regulation. And it was a short, it was like a 3-month class, and we would meet once a week for a month. And successfully completed it, and I will now be able to obtain my certified zoning official certification, my CUZO certification. So that's a good thing. That's more of a personal thing, but it's relevant to I think the board. Also, next month we are going to have the first major subdivision preliminary plat review that I've done since I started working with the town. So I'm going to have a staff report that details all the requirements for the plat. They provided me the plat a while ago. And it'll give you the guide to explaining how, or what was submitted as the requirements of the ordinance. And, everything looks good on my end. I think they did a pretty good job with what they submitted. But we have to have what's called an evidentiary hearing in order for this board to approve that plat. Once they approve that preliminary plat, then they can begin construction. They can make just improvements to the site. And then once the site's been fixed or brought up to then they will be able to submit a final plat, which I believe I only have to approve on my own. So it'll be interesting, since we haven't done one before since I've started, but, you know, I've been in contact with the subdivider and the engineer, and, you know, they've been very good, they've been very responsive, and it'll be, I'm gonna throw a lot of information at you at the hearing next month, but I've tried to organize everything so it's as straightforward as possible. But basically, everything on my end, what they submitted was good. It just needs the approval of this board after there is an evidentiary hearing. So evidentiary hearings are a little different from legislative hearings. You often hear public hearings. They're really more, the correct term I guess to call it would be legislative hearings, but that's like when you do a rezoning. You change, you're changing a law, you know, you have to have a legislative hearing where the commissioners will take action on something. But for an evidentiary hearing is a little different, because it's not the decision on whether or not to change a law or to, you know, add a law or repeal a law, and correct me if I'm wrong. It's to take a specific situation, a specific circumstance, in this case being the application, the subdivision plat that has been submitted, that's basically the application, and to evaluate it, for this board to evaluate it, and to determine whether or not it meets the standards of the ordinance.
If I may,
Yeah.
in the legal world, and y'all probably see, you know, Law and Order, any procedural show, when you get in front of a judge or a jury, they're what's called a fact finder. You're presenting evidence to them, and they're determining whether you have presented enough evidence to prove the ultimate fact that they're trying to decide on, which, you know, criminal shows is innocence or guilt. In civil context, is you're meeting elements about whether this person's entitled to damages or something like that. Y'all are performing a similar function. Any board that performs a quasi-judicial hearing role, an evidentiary role, is performing a similar function where you are the judge or the jury in that situation. You are the fact finder. The applicant and the town, to the extent that, you know, we have a dog in the fight as far as resisting, objecting, or supporting an application. But mainly the applicant has the responsibility to come in here and prove that they have met the standards or met the requirements to have their application approved for, in this case, a subdivision plat approval. And it's up to you guys as the fact finder, as the evaluator of the evidence presented, to make the determination whether they have submitted enough evidence to show that they've met the criteria they're responsible to show. So it's really just all about evaluating their presentation and saying, yes, they have met that responsibility, or no, they haven't met that responsibility. And based on that answer, based on whether that's a yes or no answer, if it's a yes, then you should approve their application. If it's a no, then you should deny their application as insufficient, so.
Thank you.
Who will conduct, oversee the procedure?
We can, in the coordination.
Typically, in my role as a town attorney, I advise boards, and particularly chairmen. So it's important for the chairperson or mayor, whoever is presiding over the hearing, to be aware that you are procedurally the one in charge of the hearing. So the board as a whole makes the decision, but the chair or mayor, person in charge of the hearing per se, they're the ones who they actually make determinations about what is good evidence, if somebody is qualified to testify on an issue. And I guess that's the second part of this, is there are requirements on what evidence can be presented. So some of the important evidentiary requirements, evidence that's presented has to be material, substantial, and direct. Material means it is applicable to the issue at hand, right? It actually concerns whatever the application is requesting. It's not just somebody coming in talking about their day at work or something like that. Substantial means that it actually has substance to it. It actually goes to either show yes or show no that the criteria for the application have been met. And direct means that it is directly applicable to the issue at hand, right? As a matter of law, there are certain types of testimony or presentation that are not any of those things. So for instance, hearsay. Somebody who comes in here and says that another person told them something or another person said something, if that person isn't here to testify in their own right, then that's what's called hearsay, and that's not good evidence, good testimony to rely on as a board to show that the application criteria have been met. Another example of evidence that is sort of special is the difference between lay opinion or lay testimony and expert opinion testimony, right? And so a lay person can come in and testify about what they know, what they have personal knowledge of. An expert is somebody who has specific knowledge or expertise in an area in which they can now testify as to their opinion on the issue at hand. A lot of times you'll see this with engineers, surveyors, people like that who their testimony as to the issue, they can actually give an opinion professionally as long as they qualify as an expert. Qualification means presenting, what schooling they've had, what experience they've had, what sort of job that they've had, how long it's been done, those sorts of things. But ultimately, they can testify as to their opinion on whether the criteria have been met, whether it's necessary to go forward with whatever application. Whereas a lay person, an individual who doesn't have those qualifications, they can really only testify about what their personal observation or knowledge is. Okay, so just some important distinctions as far as evidence is concerned. The other important distinction, and these are, for the board itself, these are things that you encounter just generally speaking when you serve on a board, but it becomes more important when you go into an evidentiary hearing, is you have to ensure that there's no conflict of interest involved. Okay, so conflict of interest when you're going into an evidentiary hearing as opposed to a legislative hearing, as Carlton made that distinction. In a quasi-judicial hearing, if there is any sort of direct financial interest involved for you or for someone to whom you owe an obligation of support, or for someone you have a business or familiar affiliation with, or a close personal affiliation, you have to recuse yourself from that hearing. If you are going to have somebody who you're affiliated with are going to have some sort of financial benefit or personal benefit, then you are not allowed to decide as a matter of maintaining equal opportunity and fairness on these hearings. You're not allowed to sit in on that hearing, and you have to recuse yourself. Now, y'all self-police on a lot of that, right? If you don't make us aware of that, and then we move forward with the hearing, there's not a whole lot that can be done to you. However, an applicant who's denied may be able to sue the town or something like that. It's why it's important to keep that fairness. In addition to that, you have to disclose if there's been any what are called ex parte communications, meaning you've talked with any of the parties involved that are not in public eye. So public hearing doesn't count, but if before the hearing you've had a phone conversation or talked with the applicant in person, you have to disclose that. The same is true if you've done any site visits. If you've actually gone to the site, visited the site to see in person, you have to disclose that as well. So just some heightened requirements for the board if you're going to hear a quasi-judicial proceeding, if you're going to be a fact finder in an evidentiary hearing, you have some personal responsibilities as far as what you have to disclose as well. So just a couple of legal nuances I wanted to make sure y'all are aware of.
I have a question around that. Is that mean that we can't get information before the hearing? Because you said you had a lot of information to give. It'd be nice maybe location or how many houses we're talking, or, you know, can we get anything before the hearing so we're not just walking into a,
The goal of any evidentiary hearing is that y'all come into the hearing impartial and ready to receive the information that's being provided to you. In your day-to-day life, you may drive past the property, and if that's the case, then you just say, you know, I drive past the property, I see it every day, and that's fine, you know, it's not a big deal. My recommendation, and y'all are not the only board I assist in multiple boards with different types of hearings, and every time I'm asked a question about that sort of thing, my recommendation to the board as a fact finder is the best way to stay impartial is to avoid trying to do any fact finding outside of the hearing. Limit the scope of your knowledge. You can bring in, obviously, if you have some personal knowledge or whatever, you can't avoid that. But limit what you seek out, right, what facts you seek out to what's presented at the hearing. Because ultimately, that's the evidence that you're going to rely on in making your decision. What's in the application, testimony provided at the hearing, evidence provided at the hearing, that's what you're sort of limited to in scope.
Kind of going back to with his question, can we get a copy of the application so we can view the applications and what codes and regulations we're supposed to be making decisions on it?
That should be provided to you at the hearing, and you'll be able to look through it and see what's been presented. And then typically, and I would imagine Carlton will do, I don't want to speak out of school here, but typically, most planners are going to provide you with the town's recommendation, or at least their analysis of the completeness of the application as well, so that you have something, you're not just going in blind, you have something saying, oh, here are the criteria I'm looking at, and here's the application, and it meets the criteria or does not meet the criteria based on these things.
So are you gonna have the criteria broke up into the actual North Carolina codes and regulations? So we can-
That's basically gonna be my staff report, yes, and it's gonna be focused only on the requirements within the town subdivision ordinance. But, yes, that's all going to be provided at the hearing. I believe, they drop off plats.
They did originally, I think.
Okay, I mean, there's no reason why we can't distribute, yeah, we can provide that. That's sort of a non-issue for the city. Okay, so yeah, we have plats that you can take tonight, to look at. And I mean, that gives you pretty much, that gives you a lot of information.
Yeah.
That's what I basically.
Yeah, and the ordinances on a subdivision, you can probably go on the website and review,
Yes.
or you can review them in our book. We have them in the book. The easiest way to do it is just go on the Pelletier website, and you can pull them up and you can read over the ordinances. They'll give you a little insight of what you're looking for.
But I do want to be clear, my job, Carlton's job, our job is not to make the decision for you. Ultimately, all I can do is I can explain the procedure. Ultimately, all Carlton can do is he can give you some guidance on what the ordinance says. Ultimately, your job is to take the facts as presented by the applicant, by the town, whomever, by whatever witnesses are proposed, and apply that to the ordinance and make a decision about whether the application fits the ordinance's criteria. That's all.
It'll be interesting, something new.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you. Should I, do you think I should make a really short script for the hearing? It wouldn't hurt, and I would recommend coordinating that. Okay. Just because I've seen people. And I might do I could do like a draft.
later.
See what I mean? Yeah, a draft, just a draft, not included in.
We could talk about it all.
We'll talk
off the record, but.
We'll talk, yes. Does anybody else have any other questions about the quasi-judicial hearing?
Right, we'll talk later. You wanna, we got time to do our little bit of training there?
No.
Yeah.
Do you guys wanna wait? Yeah, I guess, well, we did a lot of training tonight. We'll count that as training.
Is there anybody Anybody have any more questions? I'll,
I didn't want to ask about overtime.
No, I didn't say.
You want to do it?
Oh, I'll motion to adjourn.
I'll second with
Chris, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Meeting is adjourned.